Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. How you doing? It's been a long time, but I'm going to get back into the swing of things shortly guys, so there'll be plenty for you to see. Not much change here. We've got the red RX7, that's not its normal wheels, but I've been using that as a bit of a daily recently, because it's actually better on fuel than my daily. So these are the wheels for it. I was just giving it a little bit of a paint, and you can see the tyres on it now are Toyo R888 R's, second hand ones because I couldn't afford brand new ones. I think they're about £1,000 for 4 brand new ones. Today's video is not going to be like too much banter and stuff going on. This is an RX7 gearbox. I've got another one hiding over there. And the one that's in the car just now is, I've basically smashed the synchros apart. Yeah, so basically 3rd gear and 5th gear, the synchros is now crunching going into gear. It was actually my fault. It was setting up flat shift on the K-Pro. Basically had your foot to the floor, hit the clutch, and I had the limiter set a wee bit too high, so it was still making plenty of power and crunching into the gear. So I've set that a lot lower now. I think I've set it to around about, I think it cuts around about 6,000 RPM, and that gives a right RPM for getting the synchros in and getting a gearbox in gear. Now I've never rebuilt a gearbox before, so I don't really know what I'm doing as such. I'm just basically going to pull bearings off and pull nuts off and bolts off until I get down to the basics of it and see if we can make one gearbox out of 3 fucked ones. So yeah, this video will be more, instead of an instructional one, it's basically so I've got an idea and I can look back and see what the fuck I've done and how I pulled it apart, just reverse it for putting it back together again. It's the way I do everything. So yeah, I'll clean up the bench a little bit. I've got main stuff here. I've got map gas just in case. I've got the pullers, and there's a big socket here. 41mm is the socket I need somewhere in here to break it apart. What I'm going to do is a testers. I'm going to try this one first. Basically this one's supposed to be a bit of a nightmare. Really might need a bit of heat, and this just basically get your 2-jaw puller in there on the end and see if we can pull that bearing off. Pull this wee piece out of here. Can't have a ring to get off, but just sort of levered it off, and I'm going to pull it off. And right, this bitch here, solid. I had to heat the shaft here and around the outside, and this is a spring compressor to hold them lugs in tight. When everything's in tight, you can't get it. I'm just about to be finished now. Just cranking away, and it is pulling it off. So here she comes. Hey! And that bearing is called TM307 NSK brand. Now moving on to the front side. I've had to make extenders here, either side. I think I made them 180mm, and yeah, so I could reach that bearing. But further down the line, I think I'm going to have to do another extension as well, but I have got a little bit of steel up there to make extenders. And this bearing here says TM83/28LH Japan NTN bearing. Feels alright. So with that off, I think actually I'll be able to take this gear off now. Okay, and there's the bearings in here. Spacer of sorts, some sort of shim, and in here do we have more? It seems to be locking. And you can see that missing bolt up there, that's one of the reasons this gearbox fucked up. It actually vibrated loose and the bolt actually ended up rattling about inside the box. Right, this piece here we have a sort of spring retainer, two collets. So take them off. Then we have this spacer here, and that looks like it has taper on the outside. Oh, there's a wee notch there, so there must be like a ball bearing or a locking pin. There it is there. So let's look at a magnet and see if oh, there's that. Focus, you bastard. I think this is this fifth gear? We'll take this off anyway. Brass Synchro. Didn't need to wear it inside. Doesn't seem to be any other tabs. There's a clutch hub in there and there's a 41mm socket. Right, you guys, if you're watching this, you might be interested in doing it yourself. I don't know, this is my first time. This is a brass Synchro. This piece here, this is a taper. And the brass Synchro basically spins and aligns these teeth up. One thing you have to make sure is when the teeth points are all there and they're not dulled down on both sides, you know, and also to make sure that it can't be pushed fully up against the end. You want it to stop and lock. You can feel it, it's like free play, and then you push a bit harder and then it locks. Now to get a bit more easy access, I'm going to try and see if I can take this off. I found this pin and inside here. Looks like it locates in there and holds it steady, so what I'm going to do, it looks like it started cracking there. I'm going to get a screwdriver in there, see if I can try and prise it apart. Yeah, it looks like it's going to come across easy enough. Looks like it's on some sort of dowels. It's hard to do this with one hand, but right. Split, just one as possible. There we go there. I'll need to try and figure out what the fuck happened there, what fell down and where the shim came from. So at this point here, it fell down when I took the casing off. However, I believe this shim goes on the back here because the other side that has that pin going through the case, which must locate it all. This must just be like an idler gear, so that's easy enough to understand. So I'll put it over in the pile. So cover is off now. What I'm going to try and do is I'm going to pull out this pin. It's like a split pin. But I'll take that off and I'm going to see if I can slide this clutch hub off and give that a look over, and then we'll tackle this nut. We're probably going to have to make a tool with that. I'm thinking what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut up the socket and I'm going to use a bit of the exhaust tubing for the manifold, make it long enough to fit right the way down the shaft and brap it off. Looks like one of the dogs the clutches sit on, so there should be 3 I think. There's another one. There we go, there's all 3. So I'll keep tapping. Just very light taps. There she goes. That's the hub. And the clutch fork goes this way with that pin. Seems to be a taper on the front and a ring on the back. So ring facing inside here, taper facing the front. See the teeth there, yeah, they're kind of, some are sharpish and there's a couple of round off ones, but not as bad as this side. These sides they're all rounded off completely, so that's totally fucked. Rightio, I've cut that socket up here. I've got a piece of pipe here. It's a squint, but I'm not too worried. Basically going to weld that piece on the bottom there, and everyone should have really a sacrificial socket set. So it just so happened that a 32mm fits nicely in there. So I'm going to weld that in there and weld that on the bottom there, shove it on and see if the Ugga Dugga beast will be able to whip that bolt off. As you can now see, oh yes, you'll be wondering why I didn't use the other end of the socket. You'll be saying, why did he have to use a sacrificial one? Well, that's 1/2 inch and this was 3/4, so in my impact gun it's 1/2 inch, so that's the reason why. Focus, you bastard. You can see here, there's a flat spot in that. I've just used the chisel, a whole bunch really, just in there to kind of bend that out a bit. Yo guys, it's another day now. Ian woke up last night, she was quite upset, so decided to go settle her back down. I ended up falling asleep, so yeah. She's out with me today helping me, aren't you? When I say helping me, you're just watching your tab, aren't you? Little monkey. Right, so where we're at, we've got this tool we made up. We're going to stick it on here and we're going to use the impact gun. Yeah, don't do what I do, do as I say. Use a proper tool or lock it or something like that. But we'll get a whack and see how she goes. Sorted. There we go. Right, so now we can start peeling off this stuff, I think. Hub. Burning looks like to be on the outside. Right, so where we're at, we've got this tool we made up. We're going to stick it on here and we're going to use the impact gun. Yeah. Don't do what I do, do as I say. Use a proper tool or lock it or something like that. But we'll get a whack and see how she goes. sorted. So, Jesus, that Synchro's a bit loose. Let's take this off here. We've got burn on the outside, and it looks like the wider face goes to the back. And that's to the front, that's to the back. Yeah, this Synchro's taking a beating. I don't know if it's because this plate's come loose. As you can see, there's no lines left at all. It's completely smooth, and by the looks of things, yeah, it butts right up against the back. So that Synchro's definitely gone. Next piece, we'll take this hub off here. Should have a nail bearing. Nail bearing looks okay. Probably give a clean up, but we'll give a closer inspection soon. This is the hub. I'm not sure what gear this is yet. I think it could be 5th. There's a lot of it's quite rounded off, which would match the other hub. In fact, yeah, I'll need to double check. I think this is 5th. Another spacer. There's another spacer in there. Oh Christ, and a plate. So I'll take this off here. This is the plate that's rattling around, and you can see some marks where it's been rubbing. I don't think it's supposed to have been rubbing there. And now we have spacer, and this must be a shim for axial play. Nothing obvious here about different sizes. This could probably go in any way. And this shim, yeah, it'd be the same. And having a look in here, we've got this piece as well. There's a lower gear here. It's a bit stiff. We need to take that off with a chap of a wee hammer or a puller. Guys, I kind of found with this one here, when it gets to this flat piece in the shaft, I actually had to use a bit of a puller to pull it over this. I don't know if it's flattened out slightly, but once it's past there, it comes free enough. So, and again, slope side, sort of tapered, faces the back. That bearing's about, oh Christ, that bearing's about 5 foot long, so you're gonna have to make a puller with extra extensions that can get all the way down there, right way down, and hook in them 2 holes over. Yeah, so this piece here got interesting. As you can see, it's clamped in either side of the bearing. There's like a washer piece or a retaining pin holding that in. And I've used a set of spring compressors just to hold them close into it, so it gets a good tight grip on the bearing itself. And we're coming back to the normal puller size, and then an extension bar, and then some angle iron, and then another extension bar till we ended up at the very end. So it's some piece of engineering, I'll tell you that. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to tighten it up, make sure everything's tight, start yanking on that. And worst case scenario, I've got a map gas bottle here. I'll probably just go around the outside of the housings and maybe around the inside of the shaft. Sometimes a wee bit of heat can help. Look at this now. It's already pulling out, so that's good. Can't be too tight a fit on that one. That. The actual gear set itself wobbles around now. And this one is called, focus you bastard, this is a TM3/32. Now the lower bearing seems to come no bother as well. That didn't need any heat or anything. This is a roller bearing, so the inner race is actually still inside can see there, still inside the on the shaft itself. So it's just 25/50/20 INR. So I hate them. They're an absolute nightmare, to be honest with you. Where the fuck did that go? Oh, here she is. Woo! She went miles. So yeah, no, just the same thing with a puller. Probably just use a smaller puller, to be honest. Stick that in there and pull it bare now. And that's a. There you come, you bastard. Just come in. Sorted. So obviously a ring is on the outside of this one as well. Right guys. Oh, there's a lot of metal in there, like did stray, I would say. And here we have it. There's the general plastic gearbox inside here. So this must be 1, 2, 3 and 4 in there. 5 in reverse must be the ones off the end there. Yeah, and now I'm basically going to try and figure out how we get these out here. Like physically, how does that shaft fit out of there? Like, I don't understand how. It just physically doesn't look like it's gonna go, but it does. We'll just have to have a wee play around until it comes. This main input shaft with the Synchro off the back of it. That's all off now. That just basically came out the front. This output shaft basically came all out the front. The Synchro had to come out the sides though. Oh yes! And now we'll start pulling these ones out. I've undone this. Take this bolt out. There's a spring and there's a little ball bearing as well. And I've got the ball bearing there. This feels slack now, so pull this out here. That's sliding out of the selector fork itself. So that one there goes for, I'm going to say that's the top one. We'll do the same for this one. Crack this off. I'll show you in here. It's a spring. And inside there'll be a wee ball bearing. Once that out, I'll pull this one out. That should free up the selector forks and that, and hopefully we can start to work on this main shaft. So now I've pulled this one out. This one's a longer of the two. The selector forks and that have fallen loose now, so now I've pulled this one out. This one's a longer of the two. The selector forks and that have fallen loose now, so wiggling it around, I've managed to get it at this angle here. I've got this top hub. I've pulled that, and you can see the wee dogs, they're going to fall down. Just a personal note, there's a ring on this side, and there's a taper on this side, and for this one the taper's on this side and the ring's on that side. Yeah, so now I'm going to grab down here and I'm going to pull this up and see if I can clear this rib now, and if I can, the full lot should come out. Oh yes. There we have it. So yeah, this point here, various needle bearings, more synchros, These synchros look quite worn down. This fluid we use was that red line shock stuff, MT90. I don't rate it actually, a lot of folk do, but I only really started having problems when I start using this stuff. See that synchro there, there's no gaps, so, and it keeps sliding, so that synchro is also fucked. Yeah, there's probably not a lot of bits I'll be able to save off this box, however it would be good to have like a wee parts inventory. I want to speak to my mate who's a gearbox specialist, and he might be able to modify these to have dog lugs, and these here to have dogs. That way it becomes a dog box. We're not talking about straight cut gears, because straight cut gears and dog boxes are two different things. You've got dog box and you've got synchro mesh. So this is obviously synchro mesh, and dog box is just basically lugs. You'll need to Google it, it's hardish to explain, but basically it positively locates. It doesn't use these sort of sliding brass synchro rings. And in here we've obviously got 2 selector forks. I'll take them as well, mark them up, give them a clean. This side here we've got obviously our rods, an intermediate plate, main shaft, this must be 3rd and 4th, and all the other gears. I'll see if I can make a list of the bearings, although I did a quick Google and a quick look into it, and I'm not going to be able to get these bearings too easily. Right, so basically how this works is you have 2 separate parts here, 2 separate gears, and you have a brass synchro ring in the middle. Basically you've got all these teeth here, and the brass synchro rings, as the name suggests, synchronise the 2 teeth together. So you have like a male part here that will slide across into the female side. So basically as it's spinning separately, you know, they can go separate. You select the gear which pulls across, and which kind of slides the synchro in to its position, locks the synchro, and as it pushes up, the synchro then grabs tight onto the other gear, and then the teeth slide across and it engages as one gear. What obviously happens is if the teeth start to wear, you know, they can't quite get in and they slide, and basically they start crunching. Yeah guys, sorry, it wasn't the most amount of banter going on in the video, but it was informative for myself. It's just so I can look over it again when I'm rebuilding it and seeing exactly how I pull it apart. It should go back together again the opposite of how I took it apart. So if it comes in useful for yourself, you've got an RX7 gearbox and you want to maybe inspect it, replace synchros or spot parts from another spare box, well, you'll see how I put it all back together again in a part 2. Don't know when that'll be, but when I've got time. Right guys, much love, catch you later on. Cheers.